Hello and welcome to the LaunchPoint, a pre-business webinar. My name is Jason Nitschke. Let's start you off with a little bit of humor. You will need to have a sense of humor as you start, as you operate, and hopefully at some point sell your business. For those of you who are in the pre-venture stage, many of you have come across an idea that you may believe is worth it and can justify starting a company. Well, this Dilbert comic, I think, portrays an underlying message for you all to think about. If you've got a great idea, but you need to find money and you need somebody else to do the work for you, as the comic goes, I believe the economic term for what you have here is nothing. Our goal today is to step you through the process of identifying whether or not your idea is a good idea, implementing that idea, that means you implementing that idea, and then finding the resources to help you capitalize that idea. So the Launch Point is a workshop that I have been putting on in live setting in the Great Falls, Montana area for the last 5 years. This is the 40th presentation of this, and we decided to put it online. As you'll hear, the common theme throughout the next 30 minutes or thereabouts is that preparation is one of the most important things that you can do, and being able to capture the opportunity is really putting into place a plan that works. Again, my name is Jason Nitschke. Thank you for joining us. Here's a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Great Falls, Montana, and earned my undergraduate degrees at the University of Montana, and then earned my master's degree in Hawaii. I know, poor me. Since becoming a business advisor in 2015, I've earned a number of certifications and some awards as well. I do have 4 years of entrepreneurship experience, and I'm going to rely on that and share some of those successes and failures with you throughout the next 30 minutes. And then I have a couple of years of bureaucratic experience in state government as well. Here's what we're going to talk about today as part of getting our business up and off the ground. I want to walk through some statistics to help everybody understand that entrepreneurship is hard, and self-awareness as it relates to not becoming one of those statistics is also very important. We'll step through the various elements of a business. There's only 3 regardless of size and regardless of industry. We'll give you some ideas on the different types of planning tools that are available out there. I'll give you my ideas as to where to start. And once you have started, if you choose to do so, we'll give you some step-by-step processes on how to legally organize your business. That is probably the most common, frequently asked question that I receive as a business advisor on a day-to-day basis. And then one way or the other, you probably, if you're reaching out and watching this webinar, you probably need a little bit of additional guidance. We're going to give you a handful of tools and resources available to you. So some statistics to hopefully scare you a little bit and bring us all back to reality. In my experience as an entrepreneur, my ideas were always fantastic, and there was never a downside. As a business advisor, when I work with somebody on a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats analysis, a SWOT analysis, there's always strengths and there's always opportunities, and the shortest list is always weaknesses and threats. Statistically speaking, it is against the odds that you're going to be successful. 2 out of 10 businesses that start in the United States fail within 1 year. Half of all businesses that start fail within 5 years, and 7 out of 10 fail within a decade. And I would argue that there are a million real reasons and ways to fail that do not have revenue or profit consequences. So with that, what are some of the things that you can help avoid becoming one of those negative statistics? Well, here again, I am a strong believer in strategic planning, whatever that may mean for you and in whatever format that may mean for you. One way or the other, you are going to have cash to start and operate your business, and that means your cash, not somebody else's. If you miss the market, for example, if you're trying to start a sushi restaurant in Great Falls, Montana, you need to understand how many of your customers are out there to be able to operate this business profitably. Running a business is difficult, and you need to respond to adversity. The process of strategic planning in some form or fashion will make you more agile. In my work with military people, Malmstrom Air Force Base is here in our area. They will all tell you that when preparing for battle, they plan, and then the plan goes awry. However, the process of planning makes them substantially more able to deal with the adversity on the battlefield. Pricing is one of the most common mistakes that I see, that when people walk in the door, they say to me something like, I need to do more marketing so I can get more people in the door because I don't have any cash. Oftentimes that is a pricing related issue. It's not a marketing issue, it's a pricing issue. As it relates to your costs, understanding the cost structure of the business in conjunction with understanding your customer are probably two of the most common things that people need to address early in the planning stage of a business, or at the very least within the first year to 18 months. I see horror stories, and I'm told horror stories about overspending and lacking the ability to manage staff if you need that. Not all micro enterprises need employees. One way or the other, you will need to be self-aware so that you can avoid any of those issues as it relates to owning and operating your business and avoiding becoming one of those statistics. How do businesses get started? Well, the statistics, according to the Small Business Administration, indicate that most businesses start with about $10,000 or less. Where does that come from? Well, that needs to come from you. The good majority of that money needs to come from you, whether it's from your personal savings account, borrowing against a personal credit card, borrowing against personal assets, for example, a car or your home. Statistically speaking, it's going to be difficult for startup businesses to secure traditional, conventional bank financing. It's difficult. Business credit cards, however, is something that I do encourage people to secure once they've started their business bank account, because attracting capital is easier to do when you don't need the money as opposed to when you do need the money. So why would a loan application for a commercial loan be denied? Well, here are some reasons. And again, the through line in this presentation is about the lack of planning. A man walked into our offices here in Great Falls a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Hey, I've been denied for my business loan by 2 banks." And we asked him the question, "How good is your business plan?" His answer was, "I don't have one." Well, my argument would be the better your plan, the more likely a lender is going to be willing to take a risk. Most business owners probably are going to run into cash problems at some point. If you're starting your business with a cash problem, lack of equity in this case, that's not a problem. That's not an easy problem to solve, and therefore may make your business concept or your business idea financially not feasible to even get off the ground. A lack of collateral or a credit score below 650 are going to decrease or increase the likelihood of a denial. And then a lot of businesses just simply have trouble attracting capital when you don't have at least 3 years of a financial history. So let's define what a business is and what it's not. I think the most important thing is what it's not. The second bullet point there, the purchase and sale of goods in an attempt to make a profit. And at the end of the day, if you're not making a profit and you don't care about making a profit, perhaps what you've got is called a hobby, not a business. I encourage people to strategize and seek profit and seek cash flow. That's kind of the point. It's literally in the definition. So let's do a quick exercise here. I would encourage you all, if you don't know the answer to this question, to push pause and answer this question. What is the definition of success for your business? The reason I ask that question is because as a business advisor, or any other business advisor that may be out there, and that may be your banker or your accountant or your insurance agent or your lawyer or your friends and neighbors, one way or the other, if you don't know where you're trying to get, we can't help you. So it's important for you to have a very, very clear idea of what your goal is. And that's not the thing you do, that is why you are doing it. With goals, we can strategize to achieve those goals. And in the early pre-venture stage, it's very important to document those things, because that cathartic exercise of of getting ideas down onto a piece of paper helps to clarify what's important, prioritize what's important, and prioritize the things that may be winning strategies to help you achieve your goal. So what are the primary legs of the stool? Every business, regardless of industry, regardless of revenue, regardless of employee count, has to address the three primary legs of the stool: your market, your operation, and your financials. If you choose to not address one of those things, as Benjamin Franklin may say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Why would we want to do this? Well, we want to work through all of these ideas to test the financial feasibility of your idea. In many cases, people are willing to spend $250,000 on an idea, or $1 million, or $10 million on something that's unproven. Well, the best thing that you can do is to spend time and maybe in some cases capital to test the financial feasibility. And again, as I mentioned on the previous slide, simply working through the idea documentation process can help clarify what may and may not work. Again, to be able to set goals and to strategize to achieve those goals, another really important thing to work through in some form or fashion. And then obviously, if you're seeking financial backing from either a commercial banker or perhaps an investor of some kind, business plans are checklist required items. Most importantly, I would never build a house without a foundation. And as I've said, I've started 2 businesses in my life. The first one I started without a business plan. The second one I started with a business plan and sought guidance from an attorney and was not advised to secure a partnership agreement and didn't have a partnership that really was very strong. And so we were closed within about a year. Again, implementation of this strategy, really the foundational work that you do as part of a plan and the planning process, in whatever form or fashion that takes, helps us to achieve the things and to provide a roadmap to achieve the things we're trying to do. Now, when I say the term market, what does that mean? Well, very 60,000 foot level, the market research that is available for you out there, and then the market research that you can go and do yourself, is going to give you insight into the industry in which you're operating. So this is the full service restaurant climate, the food processing or food manufacturing, whatever that industry at large is. There's data out there, reports out there to be able to go and read. As I've mentioned now a couple of times, one of the most important things that you can do when starting your business is to understand your customer. I can always tell when I ask this question, who's your customer, and somebody comes into my office and sits down and says, well, they're people aged 18 to 79. That's a population. That's not a target market. The more you know about your customer helps to better indicate what your marketing plan should look like, how you're going to go out there and get your customers, and how to join the conversation wherever those people are, and to craft an experience or some sort of service or product that those customers want. So those things can both be quantitative and qualitative. When we say demographics, that could be age, gender, race, could be physical location. But what other personality traits do these people have? What motivates people as it relates to your specific customer? In some cases, that may mean women aged 18 to 34. Well, maybe Instagram is the right social media platform. Maybe Facebook is not the right social media platform. Maybe these people drive, but they're riding on a bus. I don't know. It varies. And so we need to absolutely understand the qualitative and quantitative traits of your customer to be able to go out there and provide a service that those folks want, and to go out and actually find them. Competitive research is another often underlooked thing, but when people talk to me about how they've come to a price point, almost all the time it's in relation to some price that their competitors or their perceived competitors have out there and they've understand it to be. Understanding as much as you possibly can about your direct and indirect competition helps you get around barriers to entry. It helps you make sure that you're pricing your product or service correctly. And it creates an opportunity for you to be better than whomever those folks are. Additional market research may be what's the supply chain look like, and how are you going to get your product to market. On the marketing plan side of things, product, price, place, promotion, these are all very important things that we need to walk through as well. Operationally speaking, there are a variety of things that we encourage everybody to work through. Some of these are legal on this page, the legal entity types of things, and I will step through some of this here momentarily. But what type of legal entity you create has a direct impact on your tax obligations and how you as ownership get paid as well. The licensing issues are both professional and occupational. They may be state and federal related. And then there's also in Montana licensing potential licensing requirements of local jurisdiction based on where your home base of this business is. Don't ever use your social security number for tax reporting. The federal employer identification number is free. That's your tax ID number. You can do that at the IRS website. If you're going to have employees, or if you're going to be a W-2 wage earner within your company, you'll need to get yourself set up on state and federal withholdings. Workers' comp and unemployment, there are impacts there. We always recommend that people engage with their local planning departments, regardless of what they're doing, to ensure that where you're doing business, you can actually do business there. And then again, financial feasibility in my mind starts and stops with the whether or not the owner can be compensated at a level that can support his or her lifestyle. Additional things on the policy side of the policy and procedure of the operation, and this is not a comprehensive list by any means, but who gets to handle money? Who gets to write checks? What are your credit terms if you're going to be offering terms to your customers? Or when are you going to pay your bills? On what period? Cybersecurity is an increasingly important thing. Residency of your staff, where are those files? Have you followed through with the I-9? Where are you holding those things, and how long are you holding them? Because there are laws around this thing. Every business should have a harassment and discrimination policy and a social media policy, especially if you're outsourcing this to whether it's staff or someone else. If you have staff, performance management and progressive discipline policies are also things that you should have in place. Understanding the key personnel, the key types of personnel, having resumes and job descriptions as it relates to the folks who do the work within your business. These internal policies are just as important as the internal procedures that you have as part of your operation. And again, not a comprehensive list here, but there are fines for insufficient labor law postings. Occupational and workplace safety issues are related to OSHA. Every business, regardless of size, has to address occupational and workplace safety. Costs of operation, techniques of operation, quality and inventory controls. Every decision you make has a customer service impact. Record keeping and record retention, there may be legal requirements on many of these things. On the topic of bookkeeping, it's 2019, folks. Use a bookkeeping software, a general ledger. I still see them, handwritten general ledgers. I still see them. It's going to make, I promise you, tax reporting at year end will be easier. Analysis of your operation will be easier when you have a report that you can pull out of a bookkeeping program. And insurance types and limits. I'll share a quick story on this topic. I had a tree company come out to my place and cut down a dead tree that was directly adjacent to my garage. And I asked this company for a copy of their insurance policy. I said, do you have a policy available that you could share with me? And they said, yes, absolutely, and it's current. Well, when they shared it with me, it was not current. So if I had not checked that insurance and they happened to drop a tree on my house, that would be on me. And so at a certain point, your insurance type and your access to this type of information also goes back to your customer service strategies as well. Every idea and every action that you make or decision that you make within your business has a financial impact. So what are the primary financial statements that you're going to need? Well, every business, regardless of your legal entity, will have to report an income statement or a profit and loss statement as part of their year-end tax reporting. Not all businesses are required to have balance sheets reported, but every business has a balance sheet, one way or the other, and whether or not it's on paper. So what do these things look like? Well, an income statement looks like this. It's from top to bottom. It's what you brought in gross revenue from your customers, what that service or product cost you to deliver to that customer, wages, supplies, repairs and maintenance, what you're spending on advertising, all of these things. But one thing that an income statement does not show are the principal payments on any debt that you're making. That shows up on a balance sheet. What is a balance sheet? A lot of entrepreneurs have no clue what a balance sheet is because all they do is spend their time in their income statement. Well, a balance sheet is what you've got, your assets, and how you paid for it, your liabilities. Hopefully, you've got positive net worth that indicates that you've put money into your business and paid in capital in this example, and hopefully over time will show an increase in retained earnings. The retained earnings is rises or falls in direct correlation with net profit on your income statement. So a balance sheet, what you got and how you paid for it. Cash flow happens with these two documents, not just one. So let's go and talk about some planning tools at this point. I encourage all of my clients here at the Great Falls Small Business Development Center to start with the money. When you're in the early stage of financial planning and business planning, if you don't know what your idea is going to cost to both get off the ground and to operate on a monthly basis, I want you to start there. There are a variety of additional business planning tools, and we'll walk through a couple of these as well. So if you don't know what your idea is going to cost you to get it started, that means from today to your first paying customer, you need to understand what you need to acquire in terms of assets to then be able to start your business. So in this example, that would fit under the category of uses of funds. Uses of funds in this example are the building and the land that need to be acquired, the build out, remodel, and contingencies of construction, the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, the professional fees, meaning architects, engineers, and the like. And then the other things, startup expenses that may be one-time startup expenses to get your business, the sign on the front of your building. And then the working capital that you need to have as a cash reserve to operate your business day to day. So that's the uses of funds. What do I need to acquire to get my business started? And then how are you going to pay that? How are you going to pay for these things? That's sources of funds. So in some cases, it'll be a bank loan. Maybe there's a secondary financing partner involved. But every business is going to have to bring cash to the table. With the 60 businesses or thereabouts that I've helped get going in 5 years at GFDA here, a grand total of one has been funded without owner equity contribution, and that was an extenuating circumstance. It was a business that had closed, liquidated a partner, and then two other partners moved forward, and they needed to borrow against their previous equity with no cash involved. Sources and uses. A cash flow statement looks like this, and this really is more of what a checkbook register looks like for most folks day to day. When money comes in and where does it go out, and that also includes principal payments, tax reserves, depending on your legal entity type, what your owners draw, or what your dividend needs to look like for you to sustain your lifestyle. This is a cash flow statement. There are a variety of other tools for more traditional business planning. Most people come in talking to me about business plans. There are other tools, there are other things that may or may not be better for you. The business model canvas is certainly one of those things, but if you take a look at this and analyze it, all three legs of the stool are there. Your market, your operation, and your financials. One of my favorite tools is the growth wheel. This is a bit more comprehensive and walks through a variety of different things that you may or may not be thinking about, helps us identify some categories that we could do a little bit more work on, and then provides worksheets, things that you can go home and say, well, you know what, I actually don't know who my customer is. Let's look into some of these things and make determinations on who these folks are. The marketing fan is another tool that I utilize a lot, and this is just these three that I'm going to show you are just three of, I don't know, 100 or more worksheets that we can go and work on. But this is the basis of a marketing plan as well. What are the things that we can do to reach our potential customer? And then what other things do I need to understand? If cash flow management or these types of things are things that you don't understand, I'm happy to give you these tools so that you can understand what it is exactly that you need to do to step through and to plan a business. And of course, the other thing too, the traditional business plan, which any small business development center, SBA, SCORE chapter, whomever it may be, can provide you a template. So let's say that you've done your planning and you're comfortable with where you are, the planning that you've done, and you believe that you are ready to launch this business. You've done your financial feasibility. You know as much as you can know about your customers, your market, and your industry. And then you're going to launch. Over the next 3 years, you're going to stabilize. You're going to make mistakes. Some of those mistakes hopefully aren't too expensive, but you need the cash to be able to do that. Well, how do I then legally start my business? Again, one of the most frequently asked questions I receive as a business advisor. Pick a legal entity. A sole proprietorship is not a legal entity. An assumed business name in and of itself is not a legal entity. Um, a legal entity would be your LLCs, your LLPs, your partnerships, general partnerships, your S corps, your C corps, your cooperatives. If you choose to do this yourself, you can do that at the Secretary of State's office. I always encourage people, if you do not know what you're doing here, work with an accountant and work with an attorney. You can, however, do this at the Secretary of State's office if you so choose. Once you have filed your legal entity, take that legal name and go and file for an employer identification number through the IRS. This process here is free. Once you have those two documents, you can then go and start a business bank account and stop commingling your money. If there's anything you get out of this today, one of the things you should get out of it, hopefully, is don't commingle your personal finances with your business finances. And there are a variety of reasons, probably a different conversation for a different day. On the licensing side, there's two types of licensing that may or may not be required in the state of Montana. Some states out there have general business licenses that are offered by whatever the relevant jurisdiction or agency is in that state. In Montana, it's not the case. So in Montana, there are industry-specific licenses and jurisdictional-specific licenses. If you're curious, you can about your licensing requirement on the industry side, you can go to the Montana License Lookup page at license.mt.gov. I would also encourage you to go to your local planning departments, and that may be at the city that you're operating in, maybe at the county level that you're operating in, and maybe in the township in which you're operating as well. It varies by jurisdiction, so go directly to the planning departments in your area. The other things to get yourself going here and to protect your liability as an entrepreneur and separate the liability of you, the person, and you, the business owner, is to secure business insurance. This may be professional insurance, professional liability insurance, depending on what you do, or general liability insurance, which is more directly related to the assets of the company. So the seventh and final step is to work with an attorney on drafting contracts, agreements, and waivers as it is relevant to you. I would encourage you to work with an attorney in the state of Montana to verify that the contracts, agreements, and waivers that you're going to be utilizing in your business day-to-day operations are legitimate in the state of Montana. Now, if you've got questions and need a little bit more guidance, there are economic development organizations throughout the state of Montana. The Great Falls Development Authority services North Central Montana. We've got loan products throughout that we offer throughout the state. Our mission here, and each economic development organization mission varies. Ours is to grow and diversify the regional economy and support the creation of high-wage jobs. Some economic developers are funded fully through tax funds. In Great Falls, we are funded through state and federal funds. We have local funds as well. But we also have local investors, local businesses that invest in what we do and believe in what we do. There are gap financiers out there throughout the state through economic development organizations. Great Falls Development Authority is an SBA 504 partner. SBA 504 is a fixed asset loan program through the U.S. Small Business Administration for acquisition of real estate, heavy machinery and equipment, and smaller furniture, fixtures, and equipment. There are limitations on what the SBA 504 is best for. There are fantastic benefits of the program as well. Fixed below market interest rates being one of them. Economic developments agencies throughout the state also vary in their business technical assistance programs. Here in Great Falls, we have food specialists through the Food and Ag Development Center, government contracting specialists through the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and then my program, the Small Business Development Center, which is a federally funded resource partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration. What do we do? Well, we are business generalists. We do have some specialists here throughout the state. There are about 1,000 SBDC centers nationwide with about 5,000 business advisors providing free technical assistance to entrepreneurs throughout the country. In Montana, there are 10 centers helping entrepreneurs start, grow, and expand. Our services are no cost to you. Our trainings may be low or no cost. If you're looking for a Small Business Development Center office somewhere in the state, here's your map. You can also go to the Small Business Development Center website at sbdc.mt.gov to find the business advisors serving your area. Now, there are a variety of other ways for you to receive services, and most of them are no cost. The Montana District Office of the SBA is located in Helena. I mentioned the Small Business Development Centers. Every square inch of the state and everywhere you go in the country is served by an SBDC. The Women's Business Center in Montana is located in Bozeman. That's a nationally recognized and award-winning business development resource partner. The Women's Business Center does not serve only women. You can be a man to go and be served by the Women's Business Center. And then there are SCORE chapters, which is another SBA partner. And these are volunteers who provide mentor services as well. There are others. There are tons of others. If you want to do contracting with a state, local, or federal government agency, the PTAC programs are free to you. The Food and Ag Development Centers are funded through the Montana Department of Agriculture. The Cooperative Development Centers, you see a lot of rural grocery stores, electrical co-ops, utility co-ops, a variety of types of businesses out there are cooperatives. This service is also free to you. If you're a veteran or a military family member, you can receive services from the Veterans Business Outreach Center. There are business advisors that serve the Native American community, the exporters or people considering export, the Montana Technology Innovation Partnership. These are folks who specialize in intellectual properties and technology. And then the Manufacturing Extension Center, which is part of the National Manufacturing Partnership, is another fantastic tool and resource partner that I have engaged with over the years as a business advisor. Thank you very, very much for watching. And again, if you need any guidance or assistance, pick a resource partner, reach out, ask for help. We're here to help, and most of us are free to you. Thanks again for watching, and thanks to our partners at Montana State University Extension for helping us put this webinar together.